So how does the Scrum Master grow, and in particular, how does Scrum Master career grow over time? I think there are at least there is one important thing to understand here, that asking what is the career path for a Scrum Master is like asking what is the career path of a professional athlete. If you are a professional athlete, you are a professional athlete. Your job is to get better at what you do. Same thing for a Scrum Master. So typically when the Scrum Master is getting started in their job or with the new Scrum team, they are at level 1, learning to fly. In this level, the Scrum Master is focused on the Scrum team, and they help the team learn and adopt Scrum effectively. There are a few things that the Scrum Master can do here, typically facilitate the Scrum events. And again, this is not about leading those events, but about guiding the team toward doing the events effectively, achieving the purpose of the event, and in the process, learning how to do that on their own. Coach the Scrum team on how to adopt Scrum more effectively. Support the product owner in refining the product backlog effectively so that value can be delivered each sprint, because that's the goal of each sprint, really. One important tool in the Scrum Master toolbox is the retrospective. Now, the retrospective is useful only when it's used effectively. So one tip here is, it's not about the last sprint. I mean, it could be useful conversation to say, how did the last sprint go? How can we do better? I get it. But in general, the retrospective should be beyond that. Should be really looking at, how do we work together as a team? What are our processes? What is working well, and what are our obstacles? Looking at the relationship within the team, looking at the different development tools that we use, the work environment, the access or lack of to stakeholders, all these kind of things, right? Trying to find ways to improve. And then help the team solve impediments. This is about helping the team, not solving for them. Help the Scrum team adopt the Scrum patterns. There are well-documented patterns for successful Scrum teams. The Scrum Master should know them and should help the team adopt them. If you don't know them, go and study them, and they would make your job as Scrum Master much more effective. You should monitor the team's effectiveness. One example here is the team delivering the sprint goal 100% of the time every sprint, or not? And if not, why not? Let's do a retrospective and figure it out. How do we improve? Another thing the Scrum Master can do is to review the prior sprint's burn down charts and then drive change through retrospectives. Again, the burn down chart being a diagnostic tool. So now, as the team improves, as the team grows and becomes a highly productive team, the Scrum Master can spread their wings. They can start working across multiple Scrum teams and with other Scrum Masters. They may establish a community of practice. The Scrum Master may connect with each other, share best practices, and even cross-facilitate each other events. I can facilitate another team's activities. The Scrum Master from that team can come to facilitate my team. We can learn from each other, and that's a great activity to do. But as I said earlier, the Scrum team cannot be successful if the product owner is not doing a great job. So now the Scrum Master can coach the product owner on product patterns as well, or practices, and so on. Or at least figure out a way for the product owner to improve on those or learn about those. Helping the team improve the product quality, for example, having a strong definition of done, manage technical debt, reduce bugs, and so on. Adopt DevOps practices, And this is not typically is not done at one team level, but they should be done across the organization. So guiding the organization and adopting DevOps practices so everybody elevates their performance. And then normalize team skill set and practices. When there are multiple teams where working together, they may have dependencies and these kind of things. If one team is high performing and one team is not, this is not going to work. And so we need to help the team that is not performing to elevate the skill set and their practices so that all the teams can play together at the same level and can become high-performing teams. Now, when I say normalize, I don't mean normalize measurements. I don't mean that every team should have the same velocity. I don't mean that every team should have the same baseline for one story point estimate. I don't mean that. All of these measurements are team-based measurements. They are valid within one team. When I say normalize, I'm talking about skill set and practices across the teams so everybody can be a highly productive team. And then level 3. This is when the Scrum Master reaches for the sky. The teams are highly productive. They are adopting Scrum practices, Scrum patterns, product patterns very effectively. The Scrum Master can shift the focus away from the teams and onto the organization, its leadership, and its culture. So, for example, the Scrum Master may guide the organization in adopting agile values and principles, may conduct retrospectives with leadership and executives. Recognizing that empowerment starts at the top, we may do a retrospective looking at the 12 agile principles and see which of these principles we're really supporting across the organization and which of the principles are missing and what can we do about it to improve. Sometimes the obstacles come from cultural impediments. We have always done that in this way, or we don't trust our engineering, we need to tell them what to do, and blah, blah. These are cultural impediments. We need to identify them and then find ways to solve them. Engage stakeholders in supporting the Scrum teams, because if the Scrum teams don't have the support of the organization, they cannot really be effective. Support the adoption of Scrum patterns across the organization. Enable a culture of product thinking throughout the org. This is really about making sure the product owners, the product managers, they adopt the right mindset. They can really think as product managers, building products that solve customer problems, that deliver value, rather than being like feature factory building a bunch of stuff that nobody needs. And then Scrum Masters can also now become expert facilitators. So they can facilitate workshops with the product owners. For example, they can help the product owners in facilitation of workshops with their stakeholders, with their customers, to help them identify plans, define the product vision, define a roadmap or the product strategy. Remember here, the facilitation is not about leading, so you may not be an expert in product management, but you may want to be an expert in how to facilitate, so you can help doing that. So that's pretty much the career growth of a Scrum Master. I put all this together in the Scrum Master competency ladder. And as the Scrum Master grows from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, we may even give them different titles. For example, from Scrum Master to Senior Scrum Master to Agile Coach to RTE in SAFe. So different titles represent the level of maturity, but the job is still the same. You may even download this from the website with some additional information in the article. So you see that the Scrum Master is not about moving Jira cards or facilitating daily Scrum. It's much more than that. And the faster you move away from that, the faster you grow your skill set, your competency, the faster you can help your team become a highly productive team, and you can help your organization become a mature, agile organization. And that, by the way, makes your role as Scrum Master much more effective, much more important, much more useful to the organization than the secretary of the team moving the Jira cards that really is not needed anymore.